Good morning. This is not a normal video that I would do, but it's something that everybody is asking me. A lot of people are asking about Ibiza 21. I can't really answer those questions, so what I'm going to do in this video is go and speak to a few promoters. We are in the middle of a pandemic. As you can see, the weather isn't really playing up, so it's been rainstorms the last 1 or 2 days. So I'm going to try and group together a couple of club owners, a couple of DJs and maybe a few promoters and see what they're saying about Ibiza 21. I'm going to start the vlog by popping over to meet up with Duane Lineker. Dwayne owns O Beach, Linekers Group, involved in STK, places like Skinny Kitchen, the list goes on. So I think he'll probably be a really good first person to speak to. I have reached out to Andy Mckay from Ibiza Rocks Group and the Pikes Hotel, and yeah, we're going to see what he's saying. And I've just been joined by a cat. So yeah, the cat can't talk, but these people will be interesting to speak to. And as the day goes on, I'll try and get hold of a few other people. I'm just waiting for a few WhatsApp messages to get back to me. Just so you know, this hasn't really been planned. I've dropped a few messages, see who's willing to speak to me, and the video will go that way. If you like it, great. Do like and subscribe. If you're thinking of coming to Ibiza, I'll be doing daily vlogs or at least weekly vlogs from now until the summer, whether it happens or not. Thank you. So I'm here in CEBO, as mentioned before. I'm with Duane Lineker, and I'm just going to ask Dwayne a quick few questions. Firstly, Dwayne, how was this summer and what's your plan for next summer?
This summer, well, very difficult, as you can imagine. It's yeah, very unusual. Started late, and thankfully we got to start, and then as soon as we got started, kind of 3 weeks later, Boris introduced the quarantine, 14 days, which kind of just killed the island and certainly hurt a lot. We were still working with a few international tourists like Germans and Dutch, which were keeping us going, and then they introduced the quarantine a couple of weeks after them as well. So yeah, it was very difficult, and so many rule changes every week from the Balearic government and Spanish government. Yeah. Just non-stop changes really, and very difficult to work with.
And what would you say, like obviously a lot of people are sort of thinking about booking Ibiza but still put off, obviously the tiers are changing, especially in the UK. What's your plans, like how do you ride this storm again? Because obviously we're going back into where we were effectively, but what are you thinking for next year?
No, we're semi-excited about next year. I mean, we've got a lot of people, a lot of inquiries, a lot of people saying that they will book again and excited to book. We've got a lot of people with deposits still out there and voucher codes and stuff that we give to people that couldn't arrive last year. So they're all very excited to come back. And I do think that we're gaining progress now. There's only a 5-day quarantine. There's plans to get that down to 2 days for the UK by the time sort of May, June comes. So it's heading a lot of positivity really. And also with the vaccines, obviously, hopefully they will be administered to the elderly and the most high risk from COVID, and that should give a lot more freedom to sort of the under 50s generation and the generation that generally come to Ibiza. So I think there's a lot of positivity and a lot more to get out of next summer. That's for sure.
And I was trying to explain to a few people the other day, like even though it has been a negative thing for all of us here in Ibiza, but the positives, like you must have got to spend a lot of time with your family and do things.
Yeah, it's been nice in so many ways, like a lot of more time with friends, and my families, I've got a young family, 2 daughters, one of 4 and one of 4 months, so yeah, that's been really nice. I would love to go back and have a normal summer and then have the normal winter and spend the time with the family, but you've got to take some positives out of it. Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you, Dwayne. Thanks very much. You didn't need to do this, but thanks for coming down. This is only 5 minutes, but I know you're a busy man.
Anytime, mate. Anytime.
Have a good weekend, and guys, I will continue to speak to a couple of other people on the island and see what I can come up with. Dwayne Lineker for taking the time to sit with me there. An absolute gentleman. He didn't need to do that, but as you can see, it was quite a positive message he's sending out. So for those maybe thinking of coming to Ibiza, take from what he spoke about there. So yeah, I just got a text back from Andy Mckay, and I am going to make my way up towards his home now and probably have a cup of tea and a chat with Andy. So if you are watching still, I think this will be an interesting one. Andy's always one to speak his mind, and he's always very truthful and says it how it is. So I'd imagine it'll be a bit longer than I aim for 5 minutes with these videos, or I've told everyone I only want 5 minutes with them. So yeah, well, let's see how this goes. I'm just taking a walk back in through San Antonio now. As you can see, it's pretty quiet. Christmas decorations are up. But yeah, like I said, if you want to see content from Ibiza on a weekly basis, all the way up to the summer, obviously it'll get more exciting when summer comes, just hit the subscribe button, and it would appreciate for those who do watch all these videos to maybe share this one, because it's a big one for me. A lot of effort's going in here. I'm absolutely shattered today, so hopefully the weather holds up and I don't get wet, but stay tuned guys. Thanks for watching. Perfect. Okay guys, so I'm here with Andy Mckay from Ibiza Rocks and Pikes Hotel. You'll probably know Andy from the Manumission days, one of the memories that I unfortunately missed. So I'm going to speak to Andy just a little quickly about last summer and how he's going to think about how things are going this summer, and yeah, you can take from what you get. Andy, how's it going? Thanks for taking the time.
Very good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
Good, good. How have you been?
Yeah, very good. You know, it's the pace of life is lovely here. You know, I'm busier than I want to be, but it's good to be busy. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, nice. That's
And
good.
just for the people, obviously a lot of people, as you know, did get to Ibiza, but a hell of a lot of people didn't get to Ibiza. Can you briefly tell us how your season was last year at Ibiza Rocks?
Well, I mean, you got to look at it at many levels. I mean, if you're talking about Ibiza Rocks, you know, we started fairly worried about whether the summer would actually happen at all. We made the decision probably earlier on, you know, and we kind of had a chat with Dwayne at Ocean as well, and said, look, I think we should go for this. So we went for it, and so we announced, I think 1st of June, we announced opening 1st of July. That worked really well. We got the occupancy in August back up to 90%, which we're very obviously happy with for the hotel. And then there was a succession of problems, starting really with this, you know, fairly unjust application of quarantine and advising not to travel to Ibiza at a time when Ibiza had no virus at all, almost. So yeah, that was really impacted. And then you got to the stage where actually the virus was fairly prevalent in Ibiza, which impacted further. So yeah, I mean, it was a tough summer. But all the way through till I think 20th of September, we ran events every single day. We adapted the venue to be completely socially distanced. So the dance floor was carpeted in our in our pink AstroTurf, and we bought more day beds, and yeah, it worked really well. And I think, you know, when you get to the highlights, which you were at, I mean, when we did things like Fatboy Slim, you know, a couple of times, it just showed that events could still happen last year. And yeah, I'm really, really happy we did it. We lost money, but we would have lost more money if we hadn't have opened. But what we really did was we learned how to run events, sell holidays, create an experience in a world of social distancing.
Yeah, and do you think that's going to be like very beneficial to you opening this year? Or next year, sorry, I keep thinking we're in the new year.
So yeah, well, coming for next summer, I think what it's given us, you know, I like to deal with certainty, right? And in an uncertain world, I still like to deal with certainty. You can reframe anything to make planning much more easily done. So I mean, we've got values as a company now. Ibiza Rocks. The team boiled it down again recently. So I mean, we chase energy. Yeah. So we're chasing energy, you know, with the situation change. So we're just trying to create energy in the best way we can, given the circumstances. We charge at change. There was a lot of change last year, and we did a lot of charging. I think we charged harder and faster than anybody else in Ibiza, but that's part of our DNA. We try to elevate the experience. We try to make it more aspirational. We try and improve the experience. I think the product was lifted. I think the quality of what we did last year was probably higher than the quality of what we've done in previous years. So that's the game plan. So we've done that. And now we're moving to, you know, to next summer, and we're looking at what to I I think it's the only approach, and I can't believe that nobody else takes it, but it can't be the standard approach because pretty much everybody I talk to in the industry is not following the philosophy I'm following. The philosophy I'm following is the world's changed, get used to it, get over it, move on, right? It's looking incredibly likely and almost obvious that, you know, with the vaccine, this is going to come to an end. And the problem, I believe, is going to end in the relatively near future, or mainly end. Yeah. So the combination of the vaccine and rapid testing, I do believe, will get us back much closer to normal. And I do, and I genuinely believe that.
And do you feel like, certainly I felt in the last probably 2 to 3 weeks, there has been a certain buzz about, especially people coming back to Ibiza. There seems to be a positivity, and a lot of the clubs are now opening up, and they're more worthy to talk to me. Whereas 3 weeks ago, everyone was still saying nothing.
Well, yeah, I do. And I think everything is now possible, and we've got lots and lots of reasons to be very hopeful about what the summer's going to be. But the difference in the way I'm planning, and I think anybody else is, I am planning from a position of socially distancing upwards. So every single thing we are booking for next summer is going to happen. Every bit of talent we're going to book. I mean, obviously we've not done it all, but as far as I'm aware, every bit of talent we're going to book, every event we're going to book are happening. Okay, now, so we are going from an approach where we're saying, if it's social distancing, it's social distancing. If it's back to 2019 and 2,000 people on the dance floor, fantastic. Whatever variation of it is, we are building a elastic program that is flexible. And I can't go into the details because we're not ready to announce, but we're going to try and sell a lot of holidays, probably a lot more holidays than we ever have done. And we're going to do events that are going to happen. Now, nothing in life is guaranteed, but when I say they're going to happen, I say they're as likely to happen as they were in any other year.
Yeah.
I don't think, I'm not sat here going, oh, well, if enough people are vaccinated, or if rapid testing gets cheap enough and we can test people on the way. Yeah, all of those things are great, and I back and support, you know, all of that. I'm not anti-vaxxing. I'm saying, fantastic. But I'm selling holidays now. And we're selling holidays that are going to happen. People are going to get on planes. I mean, look, the way if you look at it, if you reran last summer with the information of today, right now, you've now got a situation where quarantine can be segregated down to individual islands. So the situation of losing, July, August, when I can't remember the dates now, but losing that period of late July, August, wouldn't have happened if we'd have repeated it. We would have got those extra 4 or 5 weeks of good. And then when quarantine did kick in, if it hasn't been improved, it's now a 5-day quarantine with a test, not a 14-day quarantine. So you've got so many reasons to know that the situation is going to be exactly the same situation is going to be a lot better than last year. And then when you add the fact that it does seem incredibly likely that probably all the really vulnerable people in Europe will be vaccinated by the summer, which means the death rate and the risk of this virus will be massively less. Now, these are all probables. So when you paint the whole picture together, what you can say is I do think you can fairly safely say Ibiza is back in force as a tourist destination. It's incredibly unlikely you're going to get a cliff drop where countries just stop recommending travel to Ibiza like you got last year. Yes, there could be certain restrictions like test before and leave, but even the level of restrictions that we've seen up to now are much more palatable. So the landscape is, Ibiza is 100% back in action. I mean, as far as you can go. Events are 100% possible. Yeah. But I do think we've got to recognise that we don't know what those events will be yet. Now, our club's going to be open like normal? Maybe. And if they are, is that going to be June, July, August, September. We don't know, but I do think there's I guess in a sense, look, I'm lucky. I used to do indoor nightclubs, as you know. You mentioned Manumission. Now I pretty much exclusively do outdoor events. The business we do in Pikes is fundamentally predominantly outdoors and was all outdoors last year. The business we do in Ibiza Rocks is entirely outdoors. So our attitude at the moment is we are thinking about outdoor Ibiza and marketing outdoor Ibiza.
It's changed a lot, hasn't it, since your days? Obviously, a lot of my subscribers always speak in the comments about Manumission.
It's changed enormously. But so I'm in this lucky position where I know that outdoor Ibiza is going to happen. I know that it's whatever they say, significantly 20 times a lot safer to be in the outdoors than the indoors, virus-wise. So I'm in a position where we can plan much more solidly than, say, a closed nightclub can. So I get the difference in opinion, but so where we're coming from is we'll create the holiday, we'll create the offering, we'll create a level of talent, as other people will as well in the outdoor arena. And on top of that, with a bit of luck, earlier in the season, we hope, all the clubs will be able to create offering and various other people will be able to create offering and all the big talent. Well, whether that happens or not, I still think Ibiza is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I still think it's going to be a significant step up, and that's what it comes down to. So that's what we're dealing in certainties, and we're dealing in just a different remit.
Perfect. I think you've wrapped that up for me. Thank you very much for taking the time. I look forward to getting back in them doors in Ibiza Rocks.
Yeah.
It probably won't be that long away, really. We're like 6 months off already.
No.
Thereabouts.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, Andy. I'm sure
you.
everybody will appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that was a lengthy one with Andy. Amazing interview, very positive. Just tells you how things are at the moment and how things are looking to be. So I thought I'd take a stroll down memory lane for many of you. Just walking down through the famous San Antonio West End. As you can see, there's not many people here today. But yeah, I'm going to move on. I'm going to speak to a couple of DJs. So yeah, stay tuned and we'll see what they're saying. Maybe a couple of promoters if I can, but just keep in mind it's very hard to get hold of people. So yeah, I'm doing my best. Nick Ferguson, former promoter from Cream Ibiza and now working with Defected, Shine Ibiza and the Supernova Group. Can you explain to those who don't know who you are what you do here on the island?
Yeah, I'm a promoter predominantly. I've been on the island for 20 years now. I spent most of them being manager of Cream Ibiza. I was lucky enough to help manage a Tiesto events when they were at Privilege, work with Radio 1 and various other projects. I now own my own company called Supernova Group and we represent brands and artists in Ibiza. So we run the island operations for Defected, for Paul Van Dyk, for Shine Eden. We look after other various projects like Retro, Garage Nation, and we've got a couple of holiday groups, including something called One More Time, which is a big workers reunion.
Yeah. So yeah, Nick, just like I explained earlier, just about the idea behind the vlog, I wanted to speak to some guys like yourself. A lot of people have asked me, what's happening with the clubs. I know we are limited to what we can say, but I think you'll probably agree the last week there has been a bit of positivity. Can you shed any light on what you're up to, or if you find any positivity in the last week with regards to Ibiza 2021?
Well, obviously this year was a total disaster for everybody connected to Ibiza in any way. We personally had to move about 80 events on different projects we work on between Ibiza and Mallorca all into next year. So normally during the winter we'll be busy booking all of our events, getting the artists, dealing with the venues, getting the marketing right. We actually have most of these things already moved over to next year already. So we've just been sat here kind of twiddling our thumbs, waiting for some kind of positivity to feel like at least there's some movement forwards for next year. It's been slow, it's been very frustrating for lots of us, I'm sure we'll all agree. But there's been some kind of positivity in the last few weeks, like you said. First of all, I think it's really positive that they're now testing people on arrival to Ibiza, which means they should really have no reason to allow unlimited amount of people in, which means they should be able to open up all the businesses on the island. I think there's positive moves with the vaccination, whether you agree with it or whether you don't.
Yeah.
But there also just seems to be a general consensus that the government, the council really wants to get people flowing back to the island, get things moving forward, and at least kind of get to some kind of normality next year. Personally, I think next year will be baby steps. I think events will happen. I think they'll be limited. I think it's really more 2022 personally before we're back to where we were. But we're definitely in a better position than we were even, say, a month ago.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, you've had, like, obviously when I first came to the island, I think I was actually, well, I was working with Cream in some capacity with you guys. I'd kill just to see those, remember those days at Amnesia?
No, I miss it. I mean, we took it all for granted at the time, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had so many amazing moments in the last few years. I could just imagine what it'd be like now to be underneath the ice cannon in Amnesia, looking up, seeing the DJs there, or I don't know, one of our events at Privilege for Radio 1. These are really like seminal moments in the history of Ibiza. We're so far away from that now. I just hope we can get back to it, because I think future generations really need to be able to experience what we have as well.
Yeah. As there is a lot of people that watch these vlogs, I want to know in the comments if you have any memories of your first memories. For me, obviously Cream. Thanks Nick for taking the time to talk to me. Obviously it's just a short vlog as to what we can say, and hopefully put some positivity towards people maybe booking.
Yeah, I mean, look, message people back home. Ibiza's still here, everyone's still working to make everything happen. I would still book holidays, I'd still look to come. I'd still keep up to date on your vlog to make sure that things are moving forward. Look at Ibiza Club News, look at Spotlight, lots of all the other websites. Pray for miracles, and hopefully you'll be here dancing with all your friends next summer.
Cheers man, appreciate it. Right, so as I mentioned in the video at the start today, not everything in Ibiza goes to plan. It's been torrential rain, but I'm still here at CEBO. Unfortunately, I bumped into a very well respected DJ, Darren Jay. Darren, how are you doing?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. Darren, many people that's going to be watching this vlog obviously will know you. You've been in the game for over 30 years, over my whole life, over my lifetime. But for those who don't know you, can you just give us a bit of a backstory, who you are and how you got to Ibiza?
Hi, so yeah, my name's Darren Jay. I've been DJing since my first set of decks, I just told you, 1989, the year before you was born, which doesn't make me feel old at all. I've been coming to Ibiza since 1990, first time I came here. Lots of clubs with no roofs on. Somewhere that stood out to me when I first came here was Coup Club, obviously was fantastic. And Amnesia, Es Paradis, and the thing that people were always quite shocked at, Extasius. It might not even been called that, it might have been called something else then, but that was a really good place to go as well.
And what's it like? I'll just talk to the camera because the microphone sometimes doesn't pick it up. But what's it like being a DJ in Ibiza in this season, obviously?
Well, yeah, it's a strange one for lots of different reasons, obviously. Last summer, it's really weird because I think that Ibiza is, well, everyone knows anyway, in certain times there's a lot more competition around.
Yeah.
But, you know, Croatia's been massive, lots of festivals, Outlook, Dimensions for the last few years. So Ibiza's really suffered, I think, for the last few years, tourist-wise. Still everywhere's busy, you know, we're sitting across the road from Ocean Beach, that's always busy every time in the summer. But I think the island was in a slight decline tourist-wise for like a little while. This has obviously made people have to really rethink their strategy for next year. Clubs don't even want to, from my experience, to talk to venues at the moment. They're only just wanting to talk to you now, whether they be big venues or small, about next year. Before that, they wasn't sure themselves whether the clubs were even going to be open again next year. At the moment, fingers crossed, there's a lot more positivity about it.
Yeah, there has been.
Just in the last few weeks.
Would you agree, like, in your experience as a club promoter and a DJ, there has been a big change, especially this week? There's like the talk and... Yeah,
the same people that didn't really want to talk to you, even back in England as well, the same people that didn't want to talk about dates or whatever, are now starting to talk about, let's have a chat after Christmas and that's out of the way, and they're much more positive, which for me is great, because that's what this island relies on, you know, it relies on tourism. I think it's also been a massive wake-up call to a lot of people here in Spain, to do with, it's crazy to me that if you go somewhere like Mallorca or Palma, it's an all year round place. You know, I know that they was trying to do, when this first happened to do with COVID, they was trying to make the season may be longer. Do you remember they had that campaign about making Ibiza season starts later, ends longer? They should do that anyway, you know. That's obviously dependent on enough people coming that direct flights can come here and that are warranted.
Yeah.
That's the only way you'll ever really do that. I think if you do it like the winter flights, you have to stop in Barcelona. I think that would be a big problem for getting people here in the winter. But there's enough that goes on here in the winter, and it's like, I mean, I moved here 3 years ago with Emily. We love the winter here, you know, because you don't really see anyone. It's lovely, you're out. But the other side of that also is that I cannot understand. I used to come here for John Davis. The first person I ever worked for was John Davis back in the day. Sundance up at the zoo, up at Lismore Park. I used to come here, I remember a couple of times I played here from at the end of May, beginning of June, and it was packed here. Yeah. You come in now in June, it doesn't really get started in July, the season's got shorter and shorter. But yeah, I'm positive for next year, hopefully. You know, I'm not sure how it's going to work with the politics about how you can travel, to do with the COVID jabs and stuff. Personally, I think that's maybe also a massive overreaction, because it seems like a lot of people that have had COVID, I'm not saying there's nothing going on out there, because obviously there is, but there's ways in which you have to, I mean, now if you go home now and you come back, you have to have a positive, you have to have a negative test to come back in. So that's one way that they're looking at it. Maybe the vaccinations will be another thing they'll look at next year. But they need to get this island running again, because they can't have 2 years like this. There's a lot of people, we were just talking about brands that have been here for 50 years in the West End, gone, you know. There's a lot of restaurants and people that have been here. I spoke to a couple of people that have had restaurants for like 10 years here. They've really struggled in the last few years anyway. And this is really like the time now where they need to do something to get more bodies here.
As you said as well, like with regards to an extended season, there is talk of obviously people coming here early April. They do anyway, but like there's plenty to do, because you think this is probably the first day we've had to put a hoodie on. Obviously it's transfer,
it's funny, I went out last night, there was a little reggae thing going on at Enigma, and you was down there I think after I left. I was down there, I had a jacket on, hooded sweatshirt. I'm like, oh, this is like proper like winter. But it's been really good for November, so I can't moan, it's been lovely. And I really feel for people here as well. I mean, everyone you talk to about Ibiza just thinks everyone's a multi-millionaire, everyone's got a swimming pool. I mean, I've been seeing what Kai's doing, fair play to Kai, to do with the food banks and stuff. It's like, there are a lot of people struggling. I go to someone's villa at the moment, one of my friends has moved into a villa, and I go there, and bless him, there's a guy outside that sleeps in the car. Outside, he's an older gentleman. You know, if you're young, maybe that's quite fun. When you're 60 years old, you shouldn't be sleeping in a car. And that's not me knocking anyone, but my point is, this island, there's a lot of people over here that are really suffering at the bottom end of the island, and there's also, financially I mean by that, and there's also people, a lot of businesses that have been hanging in by the skin of their teeth for the last few years because they're hoping it's going to get better. So I think next year, 2021, is a massive, for not just for clubs either, just for even just general businesses and hotels.
On that point, I want to touch on, like you said, everybody on the outside eye, it does look like everybody's minted on the island, and we know that's not the case. If you watch my other vlog on the Ibiza food banks a couple of weeks ago, you'll see that. But a lot of people don't understand that, like, majority of people haven't worked since last October, you know, and now we're going into another winter with no income, and we got to see this out till at the earliest May if we're lucky. And then it's something to touch on, but I'm going to wrap it up with that with Darren. But you're going to see Darren probably throughout the winter and in the summer. If things go back to normal, then my vlogs will be a lot more interesting. But thanks for taking the time to chat to me, Darren.
And we can go and do a bit of paddleboarding in the street now.
It's big. I came in here at 10 AM, it's probably about 1 or 2 o'clock. It was torrential rain all throughout the day, so it's disrupted the plans, but I'll drag this vlog out for however long it takes. I'm here with my very good friend Graham Sahara, who has been a resident in Ibiza for many, many years. Graham, how have you found the lockdown?
Ooh, lockdown. Well, being shut in my own house for a couple of 3 months with the wife and kids was fun.
Sorry, I rephrased that. I didn't mean to say lockdown. Just in general, how has it been being a DJ in Ibiza this summer? Have you been busy?
I've probably done about 11 gigs, I think it is. And I normally would have done, and that's in the whole of the summer, I would have normally done that in a week. So it's been a bit slow, to be honest. It's been quite hard work.
Have you enjoyed it in a weird way, or?
It's been different, you know what I mean? Going to bed at a sensible time for a start. That's been quite weird. Getting up, spending more time with the family, doing other things, seeing friends, you know. I've been having friends come over that I've known for years. I've spent a lot of time with them that normally I wouldn't be able to do because I'd always be working. They'd come and see me play, but if they see me play, I'm not really talking to you. I'm actually playing music and concentrating on what I'm doing. So, you know, I've got to hang out with them and see them. They've took me out on boats.
I actually seen you exploring the other day.
Yeah, I'm going around just checking out other things on the island, you know. I mean, it's like go and do something else with the kids, and it's, well, you know, it's like, right, maybe go to the park or something like that. Well, we can't do that at the moment, or go to a kid's birthday, but you know, in their class. But everything, that's all had to be restricted because of numbers.
And how do you see it changing now, like for next summer? Where do you see things going?
Oh, well, at the moment, I mean, I can't see things looking much better until we get to the spring. Obviously, you know, cases sort of seem to take a die down, you know, when we got to, at the end, you know, in, say, May, things had really calmed down on the island, and then borders opened, things changed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be tricky next year.
Yeah.
It depends, you know. There was a pilot case that was going to happen this weekend in Barcelona where they were going to check rapid testing and how that all works without social distancing but with wearing masks and stuff. For me, that's like it was a really, really important event to actually happen, and now it's been cancelled or postponed just because of the current restrictions in Barcelona, which is a shame because obviously it was something that could change the island here specifically, you know, but globally as well, you know. You're thinking in the UK, Germany, Switzerland, all these places, you know, that have closed down, nightlife, Belgium, Ireland, everywhere is just shutting down.
So what, like, just for people that don't, maybe, I'm sure a lot of people that watch the vlogs will actually know you, but for people that don't know you, how long have you been in Ibiza? Where have you been playing? What have you been doing? A little bit about your backstory so people get an idea of who you are. And how, I can't emphasise how different this man's summer would have been. How many years have you DJ'd at Pasha for a start?
This year would have been my 20th summer.
Wow.
Way big up anniversary. It's been closed all year. Yeah, that's quite frustrating. But yeah, I've been in Pasha for 20 years, Cafe Del Mar for a few years. Basically, there is no venue apart from Amnesia. It's the only venue I've not played.
Really?
Yeah.
You would have probably played that this year.
It would have been nice. Yeah, that's the only one that I've not done in 25 years here, which is quite frustrating. But you know, it's not about me; it's about the crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, yeah,
What are you doing now, like, to get by, like, with regards to gigs?
Doing a lot of label management. I've run labels, my own label, for years, so now I'm doing that for a lot of artists and brands like Do Not Sleep, Sydney Charles, Jonas Blue, Seb Zito, Melee. Trying to think who else. There's quite a few.
Yeah.
You know, just doing it for those people, doing that, just trying to, because obviously they've lost all their work as well, so they need to make money. And I'm quite good at making money on a shoestring.
Yeah.
So
I've mastered that. What I'll do is I'll put Graham's social links in the description, so go and give Graham a follow if you're into that. He's a really funny guy on social media as well.
Don't give me abuse.
So yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'm just gonna go and speak to a few people over the next day and just see how everybody's coping, because I've got nothing else to do. So yeah, no, Graham, thanks for taking the time out.
You're very welcome. Peace and love, everybody, and stay safe.
Good morning. This is not a normal video that I would do, but it's something that everybody is asking me. A lot of people are asking about Ibiza 21. I can't really answer those questions, so what I'm going to do in this video is go and speak to a few promoters. We are in the middle of a pandemic. As you can see, the weather isn't really playing up, so it's been rainstorms the last 1 or 2 days. So I'm going to try and group together a couple of club owners, a couple of DJs, and maybe a few promoters, and see what they're saying about Ibiza 21. I'm going to start the vlog by popping over to meet up with Dwayne Lineker. Dwayne owns O Beach, Linekers Group, involved in STK, places like Skinny Kitchen, the list goes on. So I think he'll probably be a really good first person to speak to. I have reached out to Andy Mckay from Ibiza Rocks Group and the Pikes Hotel, and yeah, we're going to see what he's saying. And I've just been joined by a cat. So yeah, the cat can't talk, but these people will be interesting to speak to, and as the day goes on I'll try and get hold of a few other people. I'm just waiting for a few WhatsApp messages to get back to me. Just so you know, this hasn't really been planned. I've dropped a few messages, see who's willing to speak to me, and the video will go that way. If you like it, great. Do like and subscribe. If you're thinking of coming to Ibiza, I'll be doing daily vlogs, or at least weekly vlogs from now until the summer, whether it happens or not. Thank you.